Thank you, Mr. Carbajal. Now we'll begin a second round of questions for those members that would like to further engage in conversation with the chief. I'll start. Mr. Schultz, the House passed, I'm sure you're aware, in the Farm Bill, there's language contained in that to fully provide for a full fix of the cottonwood issue. The Forest Service, under both Republican and Democrat administrations, have said that they support a fix because additional consultation is not necessary. Without a permanent fix, the agency would have to rewrite, I believe, more than 100 different forest plans, which would take years and funding and staff hours to accomplish with no actual benefits. So, Chief Schultz, could I ask you what your views are on this cottonwood issue, and do you support a permanent legislative fix to address the challenges created by the court ruling?
Mr. Chairman, the short answer is yes, we definitely support the fix. This issue goes back to 2016. There was litigation out of Montana. The Cottonwood Center sued over forest plans where there were some changes in information. We have never viewed forest plans as decision plans. The work that is done subject to a forest plan, those projects have decisions. So that there's actually split district court decisions on those types of issues. So we have been supportive. In addition to the Farm Bill, there's also provisions in Fix Our Forest Act to address the cottonwood decision as well, which has passed out of the House. So we do think that is something that is needed. Just to put the litigation issue in perspective, we currently have about 300 million board feet right now currently enjoined. About 90% of that's in Region 1. Overall, we have about 1.3 billion board feet that is subject to some form of litigation. What's really interesting is when you look at those issues, you would think maybe that Region 5 or California would be highly litigious. What we have seen, the impact of wildfire has been so devastating to California that there is actually very little litigation in California over the projects that we do. The community actually is encouraging us to do more work on the ground to protect them, to clean up the forest, provide for forest health, and protect communities. A lot of the litigation right now, preponderance of it is Region 1, which tends to be Montana, North Idaho.
Interesting. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Well, very good. Appreciate that response. You also mentioned this is something very important throughout the West. You mentioned in your testimony that grazing is a central component of the agency's multi-use mission, and that you are working to ensure that it continues to support both the landscape and the communities nearby. Could you elaborate on how the Forest Service is utilizing grazing as a wildfire risk reduction tool on our forest system lands? And do you believe that there are further opportunities for more grazing to help reduce the risk of wildfire throughout the National Forest System?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Currently, grazing is the most permitted use across the National Forest. About 40% of the National Forest and grasslands are permitted for grazing, more than any other use that we have. What grazing does is it provides an opportunity to have management of that landscape, but what it does is it reduces fine fuels. If we don't graze the land, whether it's through wildlife or cattle, you're going to have issues with increased fuel production just through the growing of grass. So we see that being an opportunity. So targeted grazing is something that can be used in some instances, certain times of the year, when you bring cattle on to specifically target reduction of those fine fuels. Overall, what we're looking at doing, and the Secretary's been very bold on these issues. There's a plan that she's got, a beef plan that's out there, but one of the things we're looking at is looking at vacant allotments. So allotments that historically have gone unused and the Forest Service has not made those available. So we're looking at what allotments can be made available to permittees to graze those allotments. We're also looking at AUM numbers across the landscape where they've been reduced, where in many cases we have permitted use that is above where the actual use is occurring. So we're trying to look at those differences, what caused those changes, and then where we can increase in a sustainable way appropriate use of the landscape for grazing, we're looking to do that.
Good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'll turn to Ms. Salinas for